May the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect. Today's message, Aman. Shabbat Shalom, my Shabbat Anai, over I, Kuchelet, Tzavos of Christ, my Shalom. Shalom, everybody, peace. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Thank you for being on with us. We appreciate you. Shabbat Shalom. If you observe Shabbat on this Saturday, or we are now in the month of November by the Gregorian calendar. And so welcome to everybody on there. Hopefully your day is as well as it can be for some. I know that persons are going to do different things in this season, but prayerfully all is well with you and thine house and your families. We are going to do our live session, of course, on Shabbat. On Saturdays, it's a little shorter for us because we get ready to go into the podcast after this. So we will attempt to try and get the word in, try to finish up around 9:45 a.m. New York time to get ready for the podcast. If you would like more information, you can look at the shout out, or if you're watching on certain platforms, you can look at the description to get more information on how you can join us live, or always watch the podcast, or listen to the podcast rather, later on. So hopefully all is well with everybody. We appreciate your presence. We hope that you all are doing well. And we thank you for being on. We give our honor and praise as always to the Most High. We give all praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Alma, who lives a life that is able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. To the moderators, ministerial staff, SOC, those who join us for the first time, if this is one time of many, whatever the case might be. To Lottie Dottie and everybody, thank you for being on with us. If you missed last night's message, I would tell you to go back and listen to it. It was a great message. We had a time last night. Praise God. And so we're excited about that. We're going to get into this word, though, for today. And forgive me for 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Excuse me. We go into Matthew chapter 8. And if you're able to rise to your feet in reverence of Yahweh's word, or however you're able to reverence the word with us, once again, we're going to be going to Matatayach Chet, or Matthew chapter 8. And we'll be starting at verse, having a moment here with these pages. There we go. We go to Matthew chapter 8, and we shall be starting at verse 5. We'll be reading verses 5 through 15. Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 through 15. So, and if you can rise to your feet once again, if you're able, or however you're able to reverence the word, we'll be going to Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 through 15. We'll read that in its entirety, and then we'll get into the message for today. And Tadah, my Shabbat, thank you, family, for being on. We appreciate you. And let's say shalom and peace to everybody before we go ahead and get started on all the different platforms. However you may be joining us, listening to us, watching us live, listening to us, or watching us later on. We appreciate you. How you doing, Sister Renee? Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom to everybody. How you doing, Brother Keith? Herb John, Sister Young. Let's see, Lily Love, Melon, Azim, I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, Elder Tamara, Robbie, 478 Shy, Chandrak Sharma, Althea, Lindsay, is it? History Beast, Jeffrey, Tiffany, Smooth, Jazz One, Backup, Sister Dawn, Sister Mika, Marianne, James, Southern, user 932-959-80-607, excuse me, Lester, Akut Deborah, Derek, Quintuple C. If I miss anybody coming on any platform, judging to my head, not to my heart, we thank you so much for being on. Thank y'all for the love. So we're going to go ahead. Once again, we're going to Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 through 15. I'm going to go grab something real quick, and then we shall get started. So we'll get started in hopefully 20 seconds or so. So once again, Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 through 15, we'll get ready to read it in its entirety. After our Bible study, of course. Matthew. Once again, we're looking at Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 through 15. If you can put your right hand in the air of your device or your Bible in the air and just repeat after me. How you doing, humble king? Bam. Everybody, we appreciate your presence. Thank you for coming on. Come on in, come on in. All right, Bible pledges as follows. Did I miss anybody over here? Brother Alton, Elder Anais, Sister Beck. Praise Yah. All righty. This is my Bible. This is my sword. And this will I trust. For Yahshua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible. And this is Yah's word. Adshem Yehavach. Aman. Within Yehavah Shem, his name is authority. Let it be done unto us. You may be seated to go back to, or excuse me, actually, let's read through this first. Excuse me. Matthew chapter 8. Tatayach Chit at Che. Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 through 15. It goes as follows. It says, and when Yehoshua was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him, begging him, and saying, Adam, my servant lieth at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Yehoshua saith unto him, I will come and heal him. And Yehoshua said unto him, I will come and heal him. Verse 8, the centurion answered and said, Adam, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. Verse 9, for I am a man under authority, right? Having soldiers under me. And I say unto this man, go, and he goeth. And to another, come, and he cometh. And to my servants, do this, and he doeth it. And when it's verse 10, when Yehoshua heard it, he marveled. There's a lot to get the Messiah to marvel. He marveled and said to them that followed, verily, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith. No, not in Yehoshua. Have I found this faith. Verse 11, and I say unto you, he says, and I say unto you, what? He's talking to those who are following him, not even to the centurion. He says, I say unto you who follow me, that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham, with Abraham, and Isaac, and Isaac, and Jacob, and Jacob, in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom, shall be cast into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Yehoshua said unto the centurion, go thy way, and as thou hast believed, and as thou what hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the self-same hour. We just read Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 through 15. May Yah bless those who read here and especially follow his most holy and righteous word. You may be seated to go back to what you're doing in the presence of the Most High Yah. Today, for a brief time, at least in comparison to what we normally do here on our live sessions, for a brief time, for a brief moment, we will speak on specifically of authority. We will speak on the theme, which is of authority, right? Of authority. How you doing, Brother Dwayne? Right? And you may be seated if you haven't done so already. How you doing, Sister Jennifer? How you doing, Skinner, Charles Moody, Mr. One Gray, Zero Obi, Melody J, Chosen Grace, Evelyn Bell, Kenneth Diggs, BP, right? Of authority. So, when we speak on this today, we speak of authority. Now, I hope I'm not too confusing, right? If I do what Holy Spirit says, it's never really truly confusing like that anyways, especially for those who have ears to hear. How you doing, Sister Deborah? And user 87300654713. When I speak of authority, how you doing, Lordy Blank, Brother Darius, everybody coming in. And thank y'all for the love. Thank you for like, share, subscriptions, hit the notification tab, all that great stuff. Donations, even your donating of your time today, where you could be doing something different. We're thankful and grateful unto the Most High that you would choose to spend some time with us. So when we speak of being of authority, right, it's important to recognize a whole bunch of stuff that just happened here in what we read, right? The centurion guard is of authority, but there's a lot of different authorization going on here. There's a lot of different places that are being where authority is being mentioned, talked about, enacted. A lot of different persons that are moving a lot of different things that are authorized. But I need us to comprehend this, that the basics of this is we're going to talk about being of authority. Whatever you are of, right, you must recognize you are in. If we can start there. Whatever one is of, and thank you for the repost. How you doing, Vivian? How you doing, Rays? I don't know how to pronounce it. Ray Scoville? I'm not sure. Thanks for being on. Right? Whatever you are of, you must also recognize you are in. Shabbat Shalom. How you doing, Brother Jermaine? How you doing, Sister Allison? Whatever you are of is what you are in. Okay. So if I'm in the world, I'm sorry, excuse me. It's going to be, I'm going to do it the way that I'm told. See, a lot of persons, if you've been told you are in the world but not of it. So what that truly means is I might be in the world as far as physically, but I'm an ambassador of something different. How does it work when one is an ambassador? If one is an ambassador, what happens is that wherever I go, I'm never truly in or of where I might be in. So if you are an ambassador of Egypt and you are sent to Ghana, although you stand on Ghanaian soil, you are never a Ghanaian. You are still an Egyptian. Okay? If you go in the United States of America to the Ghanaian embassy, when I step foot on the Ghanaian embassy, I am not in the United States of America. I am in Ghana. Somebody would say, well, no, because Ghana is all the way in West Africa, modern Ghana, or even just ancient Ghana, right? But that's not the case because there's an embassy there. There's a place where an ambassadorship takes place. And when I come into this place, right, I might be you might be, those of you who are still citizens, might consider yourself to still be an American going into this Ghanaian embassy, right? But you're actually in Ghana. And it gets interesting because I'm an American in Ghana, on Ghanaian soil, because it's the embassy, because it's recognized as a place where you have ambassadors, representatives of another place. How you doing, Double OG, Triple OG, and thank you for the love, right? You see me as an ambassador of another place. So anybody who steps into this territory, you're not stepping into the United States of America, you're stepping into Ghana, although somebody might say you are within the borders of the United States, but no. When you step into the embassy, you are within the borders of Ghana. Okay, right? And one of the reasons why it's hard for us to comprehend our authority is because you believe that because you are in a place, you must be of it. The reality, though, is that even though I step foot in a place, it does not mean that I'm of that place, right? If you work for McDonald's and they send you over to Chick-fil-A to grab some buns or something like that because you're running low, you still work for McDonald's, although you come into Chick-fil-A, right? I'm trying to just break down the basics of it. We're going to go through this in a second, but just roll with me for a second, right? I need you to comprehend that many persons believe that you're more of an American than you are in the kingdom, and that's why many persons are thinking that the end of America, or what's perceived to be as the end of America, you know, who knows what's going to happen in the next few months, few days, whatever, right? The Bible's told us what we already need to know about where we're headed. That being said, and how you doing, Sister Carla, that we must recognize we are ambassadors. And when I show up anywhere, I might be in, right, someone's presence, but I'm never. But it doesn't guarantee I'm of what they are of. And so the only way I can figure out what you are of is not where you are placed, where your finances are, where your food situation is. The only reason I can tell where you are is because I need to know what your substance is. How you doing, Russell? Thanks for being part of the community. How you doing, babe? My wife is on. Once again, please check out my wife, the Honorable Maya, on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist, biologist by degree. Right? So you must recognize that what I am in is never an indicator of what I am of. Shalom. I'm gonna say it again. What I am in is never an indication of what I am of, at least not within itself. Are you in debt? Well, we have to figure out the substance. Because if I'm in the kingdom, and the kingdom I am under owns all the cattle on 1,000 hills, then how can I ever be in debt? Right? Or of debt. Let's put it like that. How can I ever be of debt? Thank you for the correction, Holy Spirit. How can I say that I am of debt? You might be in it, but you're not of it. You know what? My marriage is not in the greatest situation right now. Well, that doesn't mean your marriage is not of great stock. It does not mean that your marriage cannot take on what is of the kingdom. You might be in a rocky marriage, but it doesn't mean you are of one. I'm trying to help somebody, right? Right? You might be in it, but it doesn't guarantee you are what? You are of it. We have to go a little deeper. And authority is not what you are in. Authority is what you are of. Look at it like this. Why is it that you got promoted on your job? How you doing, Solutions LLC, Reginald? And anybody I'm missing, please forgive me. Come on in. How you doing, Uncle Bill? Right? Why is it? How you doing, Diane? Why is it that we get promoted? We get promoted because you might be in, right, the situation of a customer account representative, but somebody else says, I see that you are of sales representative. They see what you are of by your substance, and they make a decision to promote you, but the promotion didn't happen when you didn't get promoted when you officially got the title. The promotion had already happened when they started watching you and seeing that where you are in is not an indicator of what you are of. Come on, somebody. Come on. I know it's early. I know it's early, right? But I need you to catch this. I know it's early, right? But hear me, beloved, right? I'm the situation or the place that I'm in is never an indication of what I am of. I'll say that again. The situation that I am in is never an indication of what I am of. Just not within itself. If we want to truly see if what you are in is what you are of, then we have to do a little further digging. How you doing, Grace? How you doing, Julesy? Is it? I think I said it wrong yesterday. I said just lie, right? Juice, is it Julesy? Am I saying it right? Julesy, just breathe, right? And thank y'all for the love, right? And thank you, babe. How you doing, King D252? Right? Whatever I am in within itself cannot tell me exactly what I'm of. So we have here a situation that we read in Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 through 15, where a centurion guard approaches Yehoshua while they are in Capernaum. Okay, like Julie? Okay. But Julesy? Do you prefer Julesy or Julie? It's Julesy. At least that's what I see. Is it Julie or Julesy? Is it July or Julie? But it's Julesy. I don't know. I apologize. I'm messing up your name even further. Either, well, okay. I don't know. If I call you Julie, is that correct? Because some persons just try to be nice. I'm going to try to call you by your actual name. I apologize if I'm falling short, right? But prayerfully, you guys get the context, right? Okay, so it is Julie. Okay, all right. So I need you to recognize. I need you to comprehend, right? I need you to recognize And thank you, moderators, for being on it already, whatever Feliciano had to say. Right? I need you to recognize that we a lot of times are making the mistake of believing that where we are in is because that's the only authority we have, or it's the lack of authority that we have that has put us in the position that we're in. And that's not always the case. I want to look at the centurion guard and also the person he came on behalf of, his servant, who was also his friend. Because this tells us that authority, right, doesn't mean that the situation you're in cannot change, or the situation that you're in is everything there is. How you doing, Rudy Brown? Thanks for being part of the community. So we have here a centurion guard. This is a Roman citizen who was put in charge of Israelites. A lot of Israelites don't like this person. He's put in a situation to where he's always got to be on guard. If you know what's happened through the Maccabees and what will continue to happen through 70 AC before Israel is finally crushed, the Israel back then is finally crushed under the hand of Rome, under Vespasian. You know that there's a lot of guerrilla warfare. Persons are getting stabbed in the street, right? You might see persons running around in certain places and they're getting shot or stuff, or things you're hearing in Italy or Haiti and places like that. This is what's going on in Israel at this time. And if you're a centurion, if you're a Roman of any kind, you're up against it, because Israel is tired of being under these tyrants being Romans and Greeks, who have decided to be under the Roman thumb, because the Greeks have been allowed to be figureheads. They've been allowed to be puppet kings, if you will, over Israel. And they're tired of it. And so there's a lot of stuff going on in this case. The centurion, though, makes it a point to come into Israelite territory and come to Yehoshaphat. And he comes on behalf of his friend who's dealing with the palsy. Right? And just to be clear, on what exactly the palsy is in the time that it was written, when they're using the word palsy, they're saying that he's dealing with paralysis, loss of muscle function, a little bit of what we saw. It's not exactly apples to apples, but paralysis is kind of what we saw happen with Muhammad Ali later in life, or what we've seen with Michael J. Fox, right? Two persons that if you're of a certain age, you know exactly who I'm talking about, and have seen kind of, or with one has passed away, but you've seen the slow, unfortunate, demise of certain things, especially bodily functions. And how you doing, Tangi? Is it Tangi Low? Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Thanks for being part of the community. How you doing, Sister Jennifer? How you doing, Wakanda? So, and all these different things, right? You see that this person has come on behalf of his friend. He's lost the ability to control his muscles, right? He's lost the ability of some of the stuff in the central nervous system. His brain is not functioning correctly. His synapses are not firing correct, right? All the different things supposed to happen through nerve endings. There's been damage there. And he's come on behalf of his friend. And he gets to Yehoshaphat, and he tells him that he's come on behalf of his friend, and that his friend needs healing. Now, I need us to catch this, because, yes, he will say, I'm a man of authority because I'm a man under authority. He will talk about Caesar. But a lot of persons have missed what's happened, because he might be in Roman garb. He might be in a Roman territory, right? He might be in a so-called fraternity or have a job or a position that allows him to be the best of Rome. However, he's not of it at the moment. Did you catch it? He might be in the Roman garb. He might be in so-called Rome, but he's not of it. And he's also in Israel, but he's not of it. There's a dichotomy going on. He's shown up on behalf of an Israelite, and he's shown up to the word, the law. I know a lot of persons don't teach it like this, but this is the reality. Word and law are synonymous in the Bible. So if one speaks the word, they speak the law. If one follows Christ, Christ is the word. If he is the word, then he is the law. Matter of fact, he is the physical manifestation and embodiment of the law. Yahweh is the law. We talked about this yesterday, right? When we went over last night, and we talked about 1 John chapter 1. We actually ended reading verses 1 through 10, but we focused on verses 8 through 10, right? But we were speaking specifically, last night a little differently on it, but it's the same context that we were discussing, right? Here is somebody who is in the law, or who has shown up to the law. He's not of it. So why is he allowed, watch this, why is the centurion authorized to come before the Messiah? We don't think about that. We just go, well, come as you are. And then, no. Why is it that this centurion, he says it out of his own mouth, but we miss the comprehension of it because we're missing the cultural relevance of the words that are being spoken. Why is it that the centurion is authorized to come before Christ? Because he knows how authority works. He knows how kingdom works. He makes that very clear of how he has his authority. And you would say, well, he's just coming because he has authority, right? He knows how kingdom works. Well, yes, to a certain degree, but he makes it a point to say that he came on behalf of his servant, his friend, his man's. And his man's who's dealing with the palsy, right, is authorized in his mind to receive healing. And Yehoshua will say, well, I'll come to your house and heal him. He says, you are not, he says, my house and I, right, I am not worthy for you to come to my house. There's something going on with authority. How you doing, Jay? Right? You catch that? There's something going on with authority here. How you doing, great man, Sundiata? Everybody coming in on all platforms. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on everywhere. Right? He's coming in with authority. He has to be authorized to come before the throne. He has to be authorized to ask for what he's asking for. What authorizes the centurion, who's not Israel, who's not in our kingdom, but is in another kingdom? What authorizes him to come before the Most High? Because strangers can come. But what authorizes him, right, to enter into the gates with thanksgiving and into the courts with praise? His faith, sure. His faith. And then also, too, watch this. He came on behalf of his servant. All right. Watch this. If I'm in the kingdom and I'm of the kingdom, one of the greatest things that makes anybody in the kingdom a member, if you will, or a king under the king, or a lord under the lord, or royalty under royalty, is what? Is that I would serve. I serve. Whoever sends me, I'm in service of them. Recall, we talked about in the beginning, right? If I'm an ambassador, just because I'm in your position doesn't mean that I'm of you. I'm in your presence, but I might not be of you. Come on, somebody. Thank you, babe. I see you. Right? How you doing, Tina Caldwell? Right? And anybody who I missed, please forgive me. I thought somebody else just came in. I apologize for missing you. Right? But and how you doing? Okay, I see you over here, Dawn, as well. Or I don't know if that's the same Dawn. I think this is a different Dawn. Right? Diva Supreme, everybody coming in. We appreciate your presence. Thanks for being on. So he came to serve his servant. I need you to catch that. See, in Rome, and the way it's set up, his servant serves him, right? But the way that he is rolling, he's come on behalf of his servant. He's come to serve his servant. He's not in the same position. Yes, he's a centurion, but not in that moment. In that moment, you're being a centurion helps you to recognize how kingdom works, but he's actually come on behalf of another person outside himself. See, this is why, if I be honest with you, of course, we're supposed to love our enemies and pray for those who despitefully use us, but always be careful about who you serve. Uh-oh. See, when I serve somebody, I have to recognize, am I still serving Christ? Because if I serve the least of these, my brethren, I also serve him. What I do to the least. Muhammad Ali, who I mentioned earlier, he used to have he said something that was really powerful to me. He said, I never pay attention to how you treat me. He said, I always pay attention to how you treat the waiter. He said, because if you treat me one way, you treat me that way because you think I'm a celebrity, you think I'm something different. But he said, if you'll treat the waiter terrible while treating me well, he said, I recognize that you're not actually a decent human being. Thank you, man. Right? I recognize, like, if you'll treat me well just because I have a title or just because somebody recognizes me, but he said, you don't treat others well. He said, I recognize that you're not actually who you say you are. You might be in my presence, but you are not of me. Right? He has come on behalf of his servant. His servant is in the position of authority. And whatever his servant is of now has to be whatever he is of. Come on, somebody. I felt that. Right? Don't miss that, beloved. Whatever his servant is, the servant is no greater than his master. If he's coming on behalf of his servant, he's coming to serve his servant. He's no greater than the one that he serves. Remember I said earlier, so whatever you are in is not what you are of necessarily. But now let me flip a little bit of something. If I'm of the kingdom, right, then you should see some substance of kingdom. If I say I'm in the kingdom, don't just look at it and say, well, he said he's in the kingdom. Now start to look at what I'm of. This is why this type of study and this type of conversation that we have normally with normalcy and continuously is important, because a lot of persons don't recognize, they recognize the word kingdom, they recognize the word Bible, they recognize, but they will say you're in something and then all of a sudden be so surprised when all of a sudden we find out you're not of it. But you never studied the of, you just listened to the in, so to speak. You heard Bishop so-and-so say that they were this, that, whatever, but you never followed their life and followed what they were saying and studied to show yourself approved to see if what they said came before the Most High. Why are you so surprised that the person whose words never actually matched the kingdom all of a sudden is not in the kingdom? You were focused on what they said they were in, but never studied to see what they were of. You know how you doing? I don't know if it's pronounced Sheila or Shella. Please forgive me. Right? Thank you for being on. Right? You are saying that you are in something, but are you of it? How you doing? Just looking. Right? There's a lot of persons who say they are in a marriage, but then we might look at your life and say, well, you're not of it. See, and watch this. If somebody is under, because he said, I'm a man under authority. That's how I know how this works. See, if I'm under something, then if somebody is under me, that means that they should be treated as I'm treated. And if I am under someone, then that means that I should treat them the way that I want to be treated as well. See, yeah, come on. Hey, amen. How you doing, Denise? Right? Come on, somebody. Right? I'm in it, but are you of it? You're in position, but are you of position? Recall, we talked about it earlier. Why do you get promoted in the first place? They might see you in customer account representative, but you might need to be of sales representative. They see that your life is of. They see that you're making sales. They see that you're bringing persons back. They see you're making phone calls that others won't make. They see that you're teaching persons about how the business operates so that they'll come in with a mind and be already know what they're supposed to do when they come in. So they say, okay, we'll authorize you to not just be you're in this position, but we've already promoted you in the mind. We've already seen what you are of. Therefore, we can no longer keep you in this position. There was a man with 5 talents. That's 1,000 pounds of gold. There was a man with 2 talents. That's 400 pounds of gold. There was a man with 1 talent. That's 200 pounds of gold. The man with 5 talents doubled, or all of them were left by the master, by the teacher. And he said, I'm headed out. When I come back, right? Or you know what time it is. And he left them with what he had already given them, as far as not only the gold itself, but also with the mindset and with the tools. They had done it with him. They had shown this is how the stuff worked, because indentured servants at some point not only were allowed to be free, but they were supposed to be able to be taught everything righteously about what you were doing. And so he comes back, the one with 1,000 pounds, 5 talents, now has 10 talents. He now has a ton of gold. The master says, that's what I'm talking about. Well done, right? My righteous and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. Yes, to the master, 1,000 pounds of gold was a few things. And 2,000 pounds of gold ain't nothing. He says, you've been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many. And he doesn't send them away from the kingdom. He says, come into my house. Keep what you have, and I'll continue to barak. I'll continue to bless you. Second person has 400 pounds of gold, doubles it up with 800 pounds of gold, doing what the master taught him. He says, well done. You got it going on, my righteous and faithful servant. I'm not sending you out. I want you to keep what you have and come back in. I'm going to still take care of you, and I'm going to still allow you to keep doubling up. But then the person with one talent, in the same position, in the same teaching, was not of the same thing. With less responsibility, he was so afraid about what if I make a mistake. He was so afraid about what if the things that I've been taught don't come into place, that he didn't apply one thing that he had seen work not only for his master, but right, his teacher, but also what he had seen work for the other persons in the same class. Shalom, sis, how you doing? How you doing? Into the deep, right? And so because of that, what happens? Because of this, what goes on? He says, you wicked and slothful. Not only are you wicked, but you're lazy. All you had to do was be of what not only I'm of, but what your brethren are of. Since you couldn't get that together, though, he says, I'll take what you have, the 200 pounds of gold, the one talent, and I'll give it to the one who has 10 talents. I'll give it to the one that can be trusted. I'll give it to the one that will be obedient. Obedience is better than sacrifice. He said, that was you recently, cost you 30,000. You weren't, yeah, right? He says, do what I told you to do. This centurion is of authority because he knows what it is to be under authority. And in this moment, he's been sent, or well, he's come on behalf of his servant. Now, his servant is Israel, is an Israelite. His servant is an Israelite, and he's come to an Israelite. He didn't go to the greatest, as a centurion, he didn't send for Caesar to send help. As a centurion, he didn't go to the governor of Rome. Doesn't say he went to Pontius Pilate. As a centurion, he didn't go to a general. As a centurion, he didn't go before a senator. He could have gone to those places, but he said, I'm coming on behalf of one who serves in a different kingdom. And this is important for us to recognize, especially in this time frame, beloved, because a lot of us are waiting for a beastly system to somehow start acting correct concerning the servants of the Most High. For some reason, we believe that if we just vote this next time, we're going to get something different, right? But at some point, you got to realize, even if you're in the position of centurion, even if you've got great wealth, even if you're in a great position in the government, at some point, you're going to have to come to the realization that you keep getting results of something that you are not of? Or do you keep putting yourself in situations and so much that you have now become of? I don't care where you work. If you say you belong to the kingdom, then you're not of anything else that's not kingdom oriented. You might be in it, but you're not of it. Do you catch what I'm saying? The centurion has a sick friend. This is his friend. This is a servant, but this is his friend who has the palsy, who's lost the ability to use his muscles. Till this day, we have a problem with persons and treating persons who have cerebral palsy or palsy of any type. This is something that back then, there is no easy fix for this. There is no easy, I just pay this much money. There is no, hey, I'll do this. There's no known cause. And so, but he could go to what are considered to be the best doctors because he's Roman. As a Roman citizen, we don't know if he's actually, actual from Rome or Italy, but he is Roman as a citizen, right? As a Roman, why would you go to the persons that you conquered looking for them to heal you? Amen, Denise. Right? Why would you go to the Roman waiting for the Roman to heal, to a non-Roman when you're Roman? You've conquered that. Is because he came on behalf of his servant, and watch this, a relationship with his servant taught him that what Yahashua had was better. Matter of fact, if he's a centurion, he's heard about Christ, about even the celebrity of Christ. He's heard about the healings of Christ. He's heard about the teachings of Christ. It's obvious that he must have some recognition of this because he comes to Christ before he goes to Rome. He goes to the kingdom before he goes to the world. He came on behalf of his friend. And whatever his friend was of, this speaks well of his friend because his friend must have been of some great stock. If his friend was somebody that was awesome enough to put that on him, and they had a relationship to where he couldn't allow this man to go. He came on behalf of his servant that now had the palsy. And he comes to Christ. He comes in a territory that's not his. He comes in a place to where it's not looking that great for him to be around. And he says, I've come on behalf of my friend. I've come on behalf of my servant. I've come on behalf of this person I have a relationship with. And this person, his relationship, his worship, his belief system says that you should be on top. Has anybody ever been in a position to where, yeah, you could have went to the doctor, yeah, you could have went to this, you could have went to that, you could have spent money on this, but you know that there's nobody like Yahashua, right? Can't nobody do me like Yahashua. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. I'm at a position in my life to where if you don't do it, how's it gonna get done? Just go keep it above. If you don't teach me, how's it gonna get done? If you don't love on me, how will I ever receive love? If you don't care for me, how will I be able to be cared for? If you don't forgive me, how will I be forgiven eternally? This is where we're at. He's come on behalf of his servant. He's watching his servant go from being somebody who walked around and was doing everything to now everything is shaky. I'm not trying to be making fun of anybody, but you can't control twitches, can't control where you look, can't control where your head goes. You're walking fine one day, the next day you're tripping over everything. Where do I go? Who's authorized to be able to heal my situation when nobody, even to this day, who's been healed of the palsy? Persons work through it. Persons look really well with it. Persons can even do a little bit of extracurriculars to even help themselves get past it for a day. But who's truly been healed from palsy, even to this day? Now, there's probably some exceptions, right? But let's be honest, most persons, when you see palsy, or somebody's even born with cerebral palsy, a lot of times you're just told you're going to have to do the best you can. And if we see them standing up, we give them a standing ovation because we don't expect for them to get past something. This is something that nobody's ever been able to get past. And yet he says, the only person that can get me past what I've never seen get past must be you. He's serving his servant, and his servant serves Yahashua. So he's on assignment to go to the one who his servant, in this case, the servant has become the master. In this case, even though Israel is working under him, he is actually serving Israel, realizing that if I serve Israel and you're supposed to be the king of Israel, I know how this works. This is what he says. He says, look, I'm not worthy for you to come in my house. Now, I also must put this out here for somebody too, because sometimes we forget this. We'll be so busy talking about how unworthy we are, but who told you you're unworthy? And he's not necessarily wrong as far as, hey, I'm not an Israelite. But I need you to comprehend this. There are a lot of persons who should come to the Most High, who should only come to him, should only come to Christ, but instead what happens is what? We go to everybody else, right? Or we don't think we're worthy to go to the Most High. How many persons have gone through stuff to where they wouldn't even pray to the Most High because they believed that they did something so wrong that they couldn't even go to him? Yahashua tells him, I'll come to your house. Even if it's on behalf of the servant, he says, I'll come to your house. It is the centurion that tells him, I'm not worthy of you to be in my house. And Holy Spirit made it a point when I was going through this. She said, hey, make sure that you tell my people. Make sure you tell this nation. Make sure you tell the kingdom sovereigns that they are worthy. They're worthy to come before. They're worthy to have me in their house. They're worthy to have Christ in their house. They're worthy to have the Father in their house. They're worthy to have righteousness. They're worthy to come out of sin. They're worthy to be healed. They're worthy to get something that everybody else says they're not worthy of, that can't be healed, that can't be taken care of. They're worthy. Somebody needs to hear that today. That as much as you've been focused on telling everybody such a worm am I, that there's somebody that needs to hear I'm worthy. There's somebody who was messed with as a little child that needs to hear, yeah, I can still get past it. I'm worthy. There's somebody who has gone through divorce and needs to hear, yes, you're still worthy. There's somebody who's been told by this system that because you're 30-something years old and you had children, that now you're not worthy of a relationship. No, you still are worthy. And if you feel like you're not worthy, or even if you are not worthy by the law or the word, then start cleansing yourself. Start going by the word. Start living by it every day. Start being somebody who's fervently showing through their works that what they have faith in goes with their works. How you doing, Nathaniel? Nathaniel, Brother Nathaniel, thanks for being part of the community, right? Show and prove, but also know that it is possible for you to be worthy. It's possible for you to be worthy of love. It's possible for your hair to be worthy of admiration. It's possible for your curves to be looked at properly. It's possible for your lips not to be something that you got to shave down. It's possible that somebody loves your nose as big and bold as everybody acts like it is. It was not Christ that said that the centurion was not worthy. It was the centurion who didn't believe that he was worthy. How you doing, Brother Yahasa? It was not Christ, it was a centurion. Matter of fact, if I could put it like this, there's somebody that needs to know that even if your spouse, yes, you might not be in the best situation with your husband or wife, but even if they're busy saying you're not worthy, stand on the principles of Yah. Be worthy in his eyes, because you're being worthy and serving on behalf of him is what will heal everything. Salah. How you doing, Samakashya? I don't know if I said that correctly or not. Thank you for being on with us, though. Shalom. And Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, all these different dialects, right? You are worthy. You are worthy of healing. You are worthy of righteousness. You are worthy of respect. You've been worthy before the foundation of the world. Amen? Just want to remind you that somebody needs to hear that. So you are worthy. And today we are focusing on of authority. The theme for today is of authority. This centurion tells Christ that even though he doesn't believe Christ should come into his home physically, he still says, I'm here on behalf of my servant. How you doing, Minister Samantha Ray? I'm still here on behalf of my servant. And I know how kingdoms work. This is when now the authority of Rome comes into play, because although he's not on Roman authority here, he is saying that because he knows what Roman authority looks like in that kingdom, he also recognizes how the kingdom of heaven must operate. And he says something that even Israelites don't get, especially modern Israelites today. I didn't say Israelis, I said modern Israelites, you know the difference. He said, it's not even what you think. He said, I know how kingdoms operate. And a lot of persons don't know how kingdoms operate. You've been brought up in capitalism. We're going on, Audrey, right? And capitalism can belong to kingdoms, but you've been brought up under capitalism. You've been told that kingdoms don't make sense, even though you're technically in one because you're in a trust. You're in an LLC. You're in a corporation, many of you. If you're in the United States, that's a corporation. If you're in China, that's a corporation. If you're in Mexico, that's a corporation. If you're in Canada, that's incorporated. If you're in England, that's a corporation. Matter of fact, not only is England a corporation, not only is Britain a corporation, but also London itself doesn't even belong to that corporation. London is a separate corporation. Just like Washington, D.C. is not even a city, it is a territory. And the only reason it's allowed to exist is because Congress has to exist. Congress cannot exist without the trust of Washington, D.C., and Washington, D.C. cannot exist without the trust of the corporation. Technically, physical Washington, D.C. has already been cut in half. Virginia took back its part of Washington, D.C. a long time ago, but Washington, D.C. still must exist. Why? Because Congress cannot exist because of the trust. It's a fake place. It's an artificial person. Right? Do some research. Look up law. Look up the definitions of these things I just mentioned by the way I mentioned them. Don't just go, oh, no, I'm looking up for the definition of Washington, D.C. city. No, look in the law books and see by law what is Washington, D.C. to be considered. It's not even a real place. Right? And I speak as somebody who a lot of their life was a Washingtonian. I'm here to tell you it's not even a real place. It only is authorized to even exist because the fake place of the United States Corporation has to have a fake board in it. And the fake board can only exist if it has a fake place to exist to. I know that might be a little much. That's okay. You got a little extra something for free there. Okay? So we must recognize, wait a minute. We must recognize, are you ready? We got to recognize this, We got to recognize this. So he is saying that although I'm not in the kingdom of heaven, he says, I know how kingdoms work. He said there's a position that we have in our kingdom, right, in our empire. It's called Caesar. At this point in time, we're not exactly sure when and where. So this could be Tiberius Caesar. More than likely, this might even be Augustus Caesar. But he's saying that we have a position. It's a new position. We haven't really had this in Rome for quite some time. How you doing, Sister Shirley? But we got this position now called Imperare, Emperor, Caesar. And Imperare actually means that he's a slave owner. So the Caesar is a slave. So that's why he can treat everybody the way he just wants to, because he has a bunch of slaves on a plantation, but his plantation has expanded, across much of the world. And he says we have this slave owner. And this slave owner has allowed me to be a centurion. In other words, I'm an overseer. If I can make this live a little different in your brain. How you doing, Sister Donna? Right? He says, I'm a centurion, and I know how this works, how this operates, how authority works. He says, amen, Sister Mignon, you are worthy. That's right. So he says, this is how it operates. He says, if Caesar, even if he is not physically here, if Caesar speaks a word, I, as his centurion, must do exactly what he says. He says, but that authorizes me to also have authority, because as long as I do what Caesar says, as long as I'm obedient to whatever Caesar says, then it means that everybody under me must be obedient. I'm trying to help somebody. See, he's saying I'm not under Caesar's regime when I come before you, because that doesn't mean anything to you. You respect his position as king because you're a king, but at the same, and you respect kingdoms because you're over a kingdom. However, when I come to you, I realize I'm not even here on his behalf. I'm here on my servant's behalf, meaning that I have to think Israel when I come to you. This is a different nation that I'm in right now. There's two nations having a conversation, but he says, even though I am technically an ambassador of Caesar, I don't come behalf of him. I'm not on the clock for Caesar right now. I'm on the clock for my servant. My servant is Israel. And as an Israelite, you are his king. And if what is true about you is true about my Caesar, well, then I know that when Caesar speaks, whatever he says must happen. And those who follow what he speaks are not only authorized to be able to have rule, but they're authorized to be able to get the best of what Caesar makes available. Right, that's authority. Come on, somebody, right? If Caesar speaks anything, right, then it must happen the way he says. And so he says, I'm coming to you as a king on behalf of an Israelite. You are supposed to be the king of Israel. There's something similar that happens to this when Yehoshaphat, gives up the ghost, but right before he gives up the ghost on Passover, on the eve of Passover, right? Something similar happens. Where on the eve of Passover, Yehoshaphat is talking to Pontius Pilate. And Pontius Pilate has been brought Yehoshaphat, and they have him on the charge of blasphemy, meaning that he has said that he is the Messiah. He has said, therefore, that he is one and the same as the Most High. And they're saying that he deserves death. Right? Pontius Pilate gets Christ to do something that he hasn't done the entire time that he's been captured. The last time that we hear Christ speak on that night after Passover is when they say, we're looking for Yehoshaphat, and he says, here am I. Right? That's the last time we've heard Yehoshaphat speak, period. Right? Before he finally speaks to Pontius Pilate. I'm going to say that again, just in case somebody missed that, because that's extremely important here. The last time Yehoshaphat has spoken on the eve of Passover is when Yehoshaphat, hear this, love, the last time Yehoshaphat has spoken is when Yehoshaphat was asked, who is he? And he states that he is Yehoshaphat. He doesn't speak again until he gets before Pontius Pilate, even when they punch him in the face, even when they're spitting on him, even when they're making fun of him. He never speaks. How you doing, Nathan? He never speaks again until Pontius Pilate says to him, they tell me you say you're a king. As soon as Pontius Pilate mentions him being a king, Yehoshaphat begins to speak. Until somebody dealt with him in his authority, Yehoshaphat didn't say anything. Come on, you got to come to him as he is. Come on, we hear about come to Christ as you are. You got to come to him as he is. Mm. Are you hearing me? Right? And so once he says, I hear you're a king, he begins to speak and talk and have conversation back and forth with him. Then and Pontius Pilate even says, I find no fault in him. Everything that you say is true. You got to come to him as he is. Come on, beloved. Come on. So we have the centurion who recognizes. We have the centurion who recognizes how kingdom work, how kingdoms work, how kingdom flows. And he says, look, if in my kingdom, if Caesar says do something, whatever he says must happen. Right? And so he got in the position that he's in because he's under the authority of Caesar. The reason why persons are under his authority is because he's under authority. Because somebody has to authorize you to become what you are. See, this is something that you have to be careful about in the world too. Do you? You don't gotta have nobody tell you nothing. You don't need no pastor to teach you. You don't need anybody to tell you this and that or whatever. Somebody has authorized everything you've ever done. I see that, Sister Denise. That's right. Don't worry about swine who won't recognize the pearls that you have to throw anyways. Right? Don't throw them towards swine. Right? But somebody's out there to tell you you don't need this, you don't have to listen, you don't blah blah. You know, who is this to tell you blah blah whatever, right? But in the kingdom, there's authority, and everything that's authorized, it comes through a chain of command. And he says the only reason why I'm in the chain of command is because I do what I'm authorized. In other words, if Caesar says it, I'm authorized to do it. And if I do exactly what he says, then I'm authorized to continue to do what he says, but treat everybody correctly under that authority. Mm. Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. You hear me? If I do what he says, then I'm allowed to do so under what? Under authority. I'm a man of authority because I'm a man, what? Under authority. Because I'm authorized, and I only do what I'm authorized, since I stay faithful and committed to what I'm authorized to do, then anything that I do must happen because I have the backing of Caesar himself. See, this is why when persons say this and that about you, whatever, make sure that you do what you're authorized to do. Make sure that you do what the word says. Because if you do what the word says, if you tell somebody what the word says, or not what the world says, not what your opinion is, not what somebody else would rather have you do, but if you do exactly what the word says, then whatever you do is authorized by the highest authority. How you doing? Is it, I don't know how to say it, AKA Chilam, please forgive me. I don't know how to pronounce it. Thanks for being on, right? And thank y'all for the love. See, this is why I try my best to never opine. I try my best to never say what my opinion on the matter is, because as soon as I've done that, guess what I've done? I've said that I'm authorized. I'm authorized by me. And so I'm doing the same thing that Adam and Eve did in the garden, so-called Adam and Eve, Adam and Isaac, right? So, okay, Jefferson, if that's the case, thank you so much. I mean, if you want to report him. I'll try to look through and see what I can do about that for sure. There are a lot of persons as you start to grow, whatever, that we deal with that, unfortunately, quite a bit. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. How you doing, Orlando? Right? So yeah, somebody will say this, just my opinion. No, I don't want just your opinion. If we're talking about kingdom, we already have precedents. Did the king say that that's authorized? If he didn't say it's authorized, now we can have discussion about it. We can have debate, maybe even about it. Debate's supposed to have rules, by the way, so we should be respectful. So we can have a little bit of argument, but I don't need you to put anything else up on it. How you doing, Southwest? I don't need you to put anything else up on it. I don't need nothing else up on these books. I'm already trying to get out of debt. I'm trying to get out of the prison of the world. I don't need you to go ahead. I don't want nothing on these books. I'm trying to get free. I don't need you to pay me no attention. I don't need you to put nothing on these books. Some of y'all get what I'm saying, right? That's right. The word is enough. All right? Your 2 cents, you can keep them. Now, if it's Yah's cents, he can give me 1 cent. And that 1 cent will take care of me as much as I need. But you can give me 50,000 cents and it still not be enough. Now you can give me $500, you can give me 1 cent. It's not enough. Right? I need what he says, because what he says is eternal, right? See, a person need to comprehend this. This is why we even try to teach about money not really being real. You must use it to get real things. If you look at how money works, money inflates. The cost and all this stuff is inflation. It's not even real. The price of bread's not real. The price the price you pay to make the money on your job is not even real. You're giving real effort for something that's not even real. That's why we got to stop listening to the world. How many more votes you going to do? How many more times you going to talk about how you're a Republican or a Democrat or a Marxist or a communist or a Green Party, libertarian, right? How many more times you going to be far right, modest, or you're moderately right, far left, moderately left? How long you going to be independent before you realize that the true independence from the world is interdependence with Yahweh? At some point, you're going to have to come to the same conclusion the centurion did, that if I want the king of the universe. See, by the way, universal law, the word universe means uni or un or one, uni and what? Verse, a sentence or a spoken sentence. The universe is a single spoken sentence. How are you talking about that you think the so-called universe is so-called God, and you don't know that universe means that somebody has to speak it into existence? Oh, I'm feeling that. I gotta speak. I gotta know who spoke everything that I'm made of and everything around me into existence. How do you know universal law? You don't know the one who spoke it. See, be careful when persons just say all this stuff and it sounds nice, it sounds great. I worship the universe. You can't worship the universe because the universe was spoken. How do you worship the creation and not the creator? Get the tambourine. Oh, come on. Right? How you worship the creation and not the creator? How you ask your book questions and you know the author? I'm trying to, it doesn't make sense, does it? The centurion says, if you're the king of this kingdom, and I know how kingdoms work, and I know the only reason that I can get anything done and have any type of authority is because I'm under the authority of the king. And if I follow what he says, then it's as if he's right there in front of me. And he says, if that's how it works in this kingdom, then I'm pretty sure that's how it must work in yours. I might be in Roman garb, but right now I'm not of it. I'm here on behalf of Israel, and I'm here to make sure he gets healed. And I'm here to make sure that I tell you that in order for him to get healed, I know how this works. And he can't come on his own, so now I'm interceding. I'm serving. Did you know that your service is intercession? Oh, Holy Spirit, stay right there. If you would allow. To that, that's a bar right there. How you doing, Sister Tia? And I apologize. I meant to actually text you today. I messed up yesterday and I didn't get a chance to text who I'm supposed to text. But I promise they're gonna get a text today. If you don't mind, even double check and make sure, either with them or with me, that I did text. And if not, get on me, right? Please get on me. If I don't get it done, I got a few things to do. But if I don't get it done by like maybe 1 or 2 your time, please make sure that you hold me accountable, okay? Right? I apologize. I literally have everything written up, typed up. I didn't press send. And then I literally didn't press send again. So I'm gonna have to rewrite it because of the way I wrote it, but they're gonna get it. And thank you for your patience with me. Right? You hear what I'm saying? See, your service is intercession. Especially when somebody's under your authority, you must recognize if you are of something different than the world, then those that are under you are of something different than the world. Baba Kasha, right? If you are not of the world, then your service is intercession, but you're interceding on behalf of those who are not in the world, not of the world. So if you're interceding on behalf of somebody who's not of the world, question, why are you treating those who are under you as if they're in the world? Uh-oh. No, but you don't understand. When I go on the job, blah, 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 I get this job and there's rules and there's order. And by the way, that's law and that's rendering to Caesar what is due to Caesar, right? But we're supposed to give Elohim what's due to Elohim. And if the least of these, right, how you treat the least of these is how you treat him. If the least of these, of those who are under you, they're not of the world, they're of the kingdom. So why are you treating those that are under you as if they're of the world? See, this is why you have to recognize, at some point you're going to realize it doesn't matter if it's Obama trying to possibly come back for a third term, who knows? It doesn't matter if it's Trump possibly trying to get a third term. It doesn't matter if it was Biden. It doesn't matter if it was Bush. It doesn't matter if it was Bush. It doesn't matter if it was Clinton. It doesn't matter if it was Reagan. It doesn't matter if it was Carter. It doesn't matter who it was. They all serve the same beast. And thank y'all for the love. They all serve who? The same beast. Come on, somebody. They all serve the same beast. If they serve the same beast, right, then that means that they're going to treat those under them as if they belong to the beast. How you doing, Pinky? Thanks for being on. They're going to treat everybody like they're under the beast. So if I'm under you, I should have a difference in how I'm treated and how I'm served, because the master serves his servant. See, the servant is no greater than his master, but the master is still a servant. So while the servant might be no greater than their master, the teacher might be the disciple is no greater than their teacher. The teacher is always the greatest servant. This is why Yahashua, right? He washed the feet of his disciples. And they were talking about who's the greatest amongst them. And he said, I'm the greatest amongst you all, but yet I proved it by how? By washing your feet. Salah. That's how you know who the real teacher is. Look at me. I'm 6'5.5". Look at this. I'm trying to get rid of it, but look at this. I like to eat. I like to eat. But one of the things I try to do is I try to eat last every time. It's a reminder. And also, too, while I'm eating last, I don't just go somewhere else. I make sure I look around. I make sure everybody's getting fed. I ask, hey, did so-and-so eat? Did this and that? Did everybody get a chance to eat? And once so, now I can go up. I can get a double portion, if you will. But first things first, I need to make sure that those that are under me are eating. How is it that I'm eating first? Sometimes you get to eat first, but hopefully you get what I'm saying, right? Like, my responsibility is to feed you. They came out looking for the word, remember? And they came out and thousands upon thousands. It wasn't just 5,000. It says 5,000 men. That means that it could have been 15,000, 20,000 persons. But when they say men, they're talking about, in that instance, males. 5,000 men. So it could have been 15,000, 20,000 persons. They're following him. And he says, man, look at them. They're like sheep without a shepherd. And he says, go ask them if they're hungry. And the disciple says, if they're hungry. He's like, we don't have no food to feed everybody. He said, matter of fact, sorry, I said it wrong. He says, go ask somebody if they got some food for them. Right? I realize they're hungry. They following me. Right? I can't have them out here following me and they're not getting sustenance. Hey, let's make sure that they got something to eat. Nobody provides anything except one boy. And by the way, if there's 15,000, 20,000 persons, this means, hear this, beloved, if there's 15 to 20,000 persons, what this actually means is that out of all of these persons, thousands upon thousands of persons, only one boy had faith, because you're not going to tell me nobody had a piece of bread. You're not going to tell me nobody was carrying some fish. Nobody had some chicken. nobody had some snacks, some candy, some fruit, nothing. But one boy, right? Everybody tried to keep to themselves and do this and do that. That's worldly behavior. But one little boy, praise God for it. He said, if the king is asking for food, see, a child shall lead them. He said, if a king is asking for food, he deserves the food. If the king is saying, give what you have, he deserves what you have. But watch this. He doesn't deserve what you have because he needs it, right? He deserves what you have because you need it. Because the responsibility of a true king is to take care of his people. If he can't take care of his people, what's the point in following the king? What's the point of following a king who takes no care of his people? The little boy gives up the little bit of fish and a little bit of loaves, right? And once he does that, Yahashua takes it and he prays over it, he breaks it, and then begins to break from just a tiny basket and is able to serve thousands, to the point to where they had so much left over that each disciple had to carry a bag. Each one of them, if you would, had to get a trash bag and take the leftovers and take it with them so they could have something to eat. Because when you follow Christ, see, that wasn't just the end of it. He was like, okay, now that I'm fed everybody, y'all are still following me too. So anybody, since y'all are following me, you're in the inner circle, I'm going to make sure y'all are taken care of on this trip. Come on, 10 toes down, glory, right? The weight to heaven is the serious, the imprint of this. See, and we are going to a place where we've forgotten that service. We've forgotten that service is first. The centurion comes and he's on a mission. He says, I've been sent, this time not by Caesar. He said, I'm not coming before Caesar even as king. He said, I'm coming on behalf of you as king over my servant, but my servant has become my master in this instance. Ah, come on, somebody. My servant has become my master in this instance. He's become my teacher. And he's taught me enough. Even though I don't think you're worthy to come into my house, into my family, he's taught me enough. And who knows why he says this, by the way. I don't want to guess. This is that opine, that dangerous territory, because we got to be careful. Who knows if he just thought he wasn't worthy? Who knows if he was like, man, I got all types of weird stuff in my house that you would think is crazy? Who knows if he was just sitting there and his house was literally dirty? It's not, it's not righteous enough because his servant usually runs stuff. Who knows why it is he says he's not worthy? He just says at the end of the day, I'm not worthy. That's what he thought. Christ didn't say that. He said that. But because he said that I know how kingdom works, he said this, and this part I love. It doesn't just say, he said, speak the word. He said, speak the word only. Now, if you don't know what this word only actually is, and if you go back to the time of 1611 King James Version and stuff, when they're writing this word actually would have been something that is closer to what we call oneness or alive. He said, speak the word onely. That's right, we're here to serve, right? He said, speak the word onely, not only. He said, speak the word onely. In other words, however you speak it is what I'm one with. Come on, somebody. However you speak it is what I'm one with. You hear what I'm saying, beloved? Right? Whatever you speak is one. Whatever you speak is universe, is universal. Whatever you said has to happen exactly how you said. How you doing, Phoenix? Right? Whatever you said, however you speak it, I don't know if you say Phoenix or Phoenix, right? However you speak it is how it must happen. Speak the word onely. Or as we say today, only. But that's right, but it's really one, and remember, L-Y, means in the way that it's done, basically. So however you say it is how it must be. One Lee. Speak the word onely. Remember, whenever you talk about holiness, even in the modern way we say, right, we would say Qadash or Hakodash, depending on your dialect and all that, but we would say Hakodash. But holy, right? Holiness means alive. It means to be one. In English, when you see whole or holy, right, you put a W before that H. That's what it actually means. Holy, onely. What is the most important commandment? Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh Elohim, alive. He is one. So if you love him with all your heart, there's only one passion. If you love him with all your soul, there's one psychology. If you love him with all your mind, there's one mindset. If you love him with your strength, there's one place where we get our strength from. He said, speak the word one. How you doing, Sister Judith? Come on, somebody. Right? And sometimes that's the problem. See, sometimes you've allowed so much stuff and craziness, and some of you even coming from Halloween. It's okay, you ain't got to say nothing. Don't admit it here. That's between you and y'all, right? But we'll do all this other stuff or whatever, and then we come back the next day and say, yes, I serve you, but you're not onely. You don't serve him onely. You don't listen to his word onely, only, by itself, nothing else allowed. Speak the word onely, he said. I don't need anything else except your word. Oh, well, I'm looking to see what Trump said and blah, blah. Don't worry about what Trump said. Speak the word onely. But they're talking about Obama. He's talking about all this and how he's getting fired up again. Speak the word only. Well, I was paying attention. And Stephen A. Smith said, speak the word onely. Well, the red pill versus the blue pill. Speak the word only. He said, I'm not here. Yes, I'm in Rome. I'm a centurion. But in this instance, I'm not of it. That's the only reason why I can come before you, because I'm coming into your presence, into your throne room, into your kingdom. And Rome, the ways of Rome do not belong in your kingdom. I don't even deserve you to come into my Roman household because we on some stuff. But I do know this much. I know if you as the king, whatever you speak, it's like when Caesar speaks, and whatever you say, it'll be one. And I'll be one with it, and I'll be satisfied because you said it. Are you satisfied with what y'all told you? We don't like that term. You shouldn't be satisfied. I'm satisfied if y'all said it. It doesn't mean that he won't add on to it. It doesn't mean that he's not eternal. It doesn't mean that if it affects me today, that it won't continue to grow tomorrow. I'm just here to tell you, if y'all said it, I'm satisfied. Children of Israel, there's nothing worse than when you have a child and you done cooked and cleaned and done all this stuff or whatever, and they mess around and talk about how they're not satisfied. This is when we used to have mamas and daddies that would come to us and they would say, well, there's a child out there in Africa that isn't 8. And we would say, yeah, but I'm not an African child. True that, but what they're trying to get across to you is that as much as you want to throw away something because you don't like it, even though it's been made for your benefit, I don't like that. I don't like green beans. I don't like Brussels sprouts. Boy, if you don't eat what I put in front of you, because there's somebody out there who wants way more than you. This is why he even says, before he finishes talking to the centurion, he turns to those who follow him. As we get ready to take our leave for today and we get ready to transition over to the podcast, prayerfully you'll be able to join us for the podcast. If you don't know how that works, once again, if you're on certain platforms, you can look at the description and find out more information. Right? And if you're on certain platforms, you can look at our link tree or just stick around until the end when we do the shout out and you'll be able to get the information on how to join us. Right? But I need you to catch this. A lot of persons miss this. And they don't recognize what the Most High Yahweh is giving us, what he's giving us, and if we would just be obedient to it. And so we're sitting up here getting beat upside the head when the reality is we should have just been faithful. Right? He turns to his disciples after the centurion says all this. And he says, I've never seen such faith, even in Israel, even in my people. And then he makes it a point to tell them even further. See, this is the part we don't like, but this is truth. You got to make sure that you're ready so that you don't end up being taken out the vine or taken off the tree. He says, because Israel has not understood authority like this. In essence, this is what he says. He says, because Israel has never truly understood authority correctly and understood kingdom, or they've gone to other kingdoms, or nowadays we would even say we continue to try and ask everybody else except the Most High what to do. He said, thank you, Elder Tamara. He said, because Israel never has really received or gotten this, he says, we're going to end up being upset because since we'll be disobedient to our king, we will lose what's ours, and others will begin to receive what should have never been anybody else's but ours. I know, we don't like this. But and some of y'all be sitting up there and you get mad and you get jealous. But watch this. Even the Bible says that he will use this to provoke us to jealousy. So that finally you'll see that, hey, we had it great. Everybody else is tripping all over themselves to get a little piece of what we had. Maybe we should get in line and be what we were supposed to be in the first place. That's what it says, right? And we get so upset. Well, so-and-so, then so-and-so. Yeah, but watch. And I'm saying, I know there's a lot of Christian pastors and preachers out there of any kind, of any color, of Esau, of Jacob, or whatever, right? That are wilding out. Hear what I'm saying, though? There are persons who are coming in, and some of them are more obedient than we've ever been. Some of them are more obedient than you are. And you get upset that they get to sit at the table. Prayerfully, you'll get over that. But hear what I'm saying. You wouldn't have to be upset if you had done what you were supposed to do in the first place. But that's also part of Yah's plan, to show you that, hey, you don't want to show me love, but there's somebody out there who thinks that I'm all that. How you doing, Brother Alice? Come on. I'm not trying to say this is exactly what Yah's doing, but I'm going to use this as a parable, something that you'll be able to see, right? This is not exactly how Yah's doing it, but I want to show you that he knows how the game works. Hey, how you doing, Auntie Mary? Sisters, you ever been in a relationship with a guy and he not treating you right, he not doing this and he not doing whatever, maybe even your own husband, right? And so all of a sudden there's some dude, and you're not going to go with the dude. I'm not saying this is exactly what Yah's doing. I'm just trying to get you to see how a lot of you are acting, because you the dude. The dude that should have been in place. But there's another dude that comes by and he worships your feet. And your husband, who you gonna stay with, you're not leaving, but your husband won't give you no time, he won't give you no play, he won't give you nothing, he's saying all this stuff, he's just kind of there. And so you're not gonna leave, but what do? You allow the other dude to do some stuff? You allow him to come in, you allow him to fix stuff that your husband said he was gonna fix 15 years ago, right? And your husband gets upset and then begins to do, or your man or whatever gets upset and begins to do what he should have been doing the whole time, because he doesn't want to lose you. He realizes how great you were. Right now, I'm not saying that's exactly what Yah's doing, but I'm trying to get you to see that you, in essence, are the spouse who's not doing what Yah says to do. Right? Yah has been telling us that we are his wife whole time. He made it very clear in Jeremiah chapter 3 who his wife is. And yet we continued, according to Romans chapter 10, verse 2, we have a zeal for Elohim, is not according to intimacy. Verse 3, we started getting into everybody else's stuff. He told us that he didn't mess around with Esau, but we kept trying to be like Esau. So he said, hey, if you want to keep being like Esau, then don't get mad if Esau start coming around. And when they start coming back into stuff and they want to be grafted, they want to become Israel, and you decide to go out, that's not my fault. I showed you what would happen with Babylon. I showed you what would happen with the means of the Persians. I showed you what happened in Kemet. I showed you what happened in Assyria. I showed you what happened in Greece. I showed you what happened with Rome. I showed you what happens when those who mix iron with clay, whether you want to call them Christian, whether you want to call them Jewish, whatever the case might be, whatever you want to say. I told you what happens when you get Talmudic. You guys keep chasing all this foolishness that has nothing to do with what I told you to be and who we're supposed to be. And we're supposed to be one. And I am in a position to where I can give you anything and the desires of your heart, right? I can give you the true desires and the true needs. But your wants, you're thinking that you lack because somebody got something that you really want in your flesh. You decided to give up eternity for a little bit of time. This is what happens when you end up having them children out of wedlock and don't make sure that you get a righteous marriage first. Why? Because you see pleasure in the second, and you decide that pleasure in the second. And I'm not saying those children can't be blessed and all that stuff, but hear what I'm saying. That was not Yah's will initially. Now, he can work out all things together, but it wasn't his will that you did that. You did that. And then got upset when all of a sudden Yah started allowing others that you thought were never as holy and never as good, but he's allowing them in, and now you upset. No, come back unto him. He said he'll still take you back. And by the way, when he takes you back, he's not going to kick out the ones that were faithful either. How you doing, Bruder Richard? I know you don't want to hear it. It's the truth. See, nationality is different than color. You already know how that works. And if you don't, you can catch up on our recordings, right? But those of you who know what I'm saying, we're the nation, right? Hi, Shalom, Sister Austin. How you doing? Right? We're the nation. How you doing, Sister Latoya? Happy belated Born Day. I don't know if you got the message or not, but we said happy Born Day to you. And I sent something when your husband put something out on Facebook. Praise Yah for you. Right? I think watch me get the wrong date. October 30th, October 29th, somewhere in there. Right? But happy belated Born Day. And Yam Yasalav, happy Born Day to all the November Born Days as we go through another month. Right? That's right. He wants us to see how it feels. When you put something else before him. You've been putting stuff before him. So he says, okay, somebody else is coming in. And really, he hasn't changed position. He didn't get off the throne. You left the throne room. Somebody else came into his presence with into the kingdom with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. Now you're mad that they praising him. Oh, Milani's firstborn day. Okay, happy born day, Milani. Yam Yasalav, happy belated. Praise Yah for you. See if I can recall, if I can remember to send a little something, a little message or something, right? But all praises to the Most High, right? How you doing, Sister Shima, who just had a born day recently as well? Ama. Everybody coming in here with these born days. All of us born later on in the year. Yeah, but we have to recognize this. And we have to realize this. We have to think on this. We have to be what Yah tells us to be. How you doing, Fanny Lou? Thanks for being, or oh, is that, yeah. Thanks for being part of the community. I'm sorry, thanks for the love, excuse me, right? So in all these different things that are going on and taking place, how you doing, Shalom, Sister Austria? Praise Yah, I'm on, right? Everybody coming on, right? So the centurion, he recognizes the service, and he knows he's come before a king. And Yehoshua says, don't be, this is going to be an indication. He says, because I've been here with Israel, and he says, Israel, nobody has ever walked up to me and spoken to me as he did. Not because Israel doesn't even necessarily want to love me, but in their ignorance of how kingdom operates, they have missed the mark in our relationship. See, we have to go back to kingdom and recognize that our king, our country, our nation, you know, our nation is a family. A nation is a family. This is why United States of America, corporation or country, will never be a true country, because you can never be a country unless everything is integrated. And a lot of you don't know what integrated means, but integrity, integral, integrated means to be one, to be whole, to be holy. And so if you speak a language, that's why every country has a language that's supposed to be the language of the country. That's why every country has an animal that's supposed to be the animal of the country. That's why every country has a faith. Even countries that allow for multiple faiths, there's one particular faith the person will say, if you go to this country, you know they this. If you're going to be in the kingdom of heaven, there's onely. If you speak the word onely, only, I know is what you guys say, but it says that's what the word comes from, onely, holy. If you speak the word onely, whatever comes out your mouth, I will be one with it. And so will my servant. And so will everybody have to be, including even the molecules in the air and all the different things, the synapses that are firing and the muscles, fibers that are inside this person that has the palsy. Everything's going to have to be coming together as one. If you speak it, it will happen. In last verse that we read, Matthew chapter 8, verse 13. I said through 15, excuse me. It should have been through verse 13. It says, and Yehoshua said unto the centurion, go thy way. And watch this. And as thou hast believed, be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed the self same hour. That means when he got back home, and he said he saw his servant wasn't having the palsy, wasn't having the shakes, but actually was walking around fine. And he realized when his servant was walking around fine, he would have been like, when did this happen? And his servant, or even the servants around, friends around, whatever, would have said, oh, around this hour. Let's say it was around, we don't know for sure what time it was, but let's just say it was around 9:42 a.m. New York time. He said, and he would have realized that's the same time I was talking to Yehoshua. Come on, somebody. He would have said, that's the same time I was talking to the master. It worked. Everything that I thought about the kingdom operates. Could you imagine how much that centurion now recognizes that Caesar is nothing in comparison to the Most High? He said, and watch this, don't miss this part. Go away, right? Go your way and have whatever you believed. Why? Because you believed in me. Don't miss that. I'm going to say it again. Go your way and have everything you believed. I need you to catch this. This means that he got more than what he asked for. I don't know if you caught that. Because he said, whatever you speak, speak it onely. Whatever you speak, we're one with it. He only came on behalf of his servant. But that's not what Christ spoke. Did you catch that? As we get ready to go our way, at least for those who are going to be part of the podcast with us, and brothers, we have our men's meeting at 7 p.m. New York time tonight. Hear this, beloved. Hear this, beloved. He didn't just speak what he asked. Hear me. He spoke. I hope you catch this. He spoke more. He said, whatever it is that you believed, take it with you. See, so you got to be bigger. See, some of you are stuck on just one little situation. I hope you catch this. I hope you catch. We got to get ready to take our leave. But some of you are stuck on your little situation, whatever it might be. And I'm not trying to say that it can't seem like a mountain, but it might just be a molehill, right? If Yah owns all the cattle on 1,000 hills, there's not one person that will starve who's in the kingdom. And if you only are focused on what you're starving on now, though, you'll forget that whatever you believe, if it's in line with what the king will speak, you will have whatever you believe. Shabbat Shalom, how you doing, Brother Ali? I'm trying to help somebody. Hopefully you catch this, right? As long as you believe, whatever you believe. See, some of you are just like, yeah, help me to make sure that I make months in. Did I pay the rent? He's like, pay the rent? He's like, I'm trying to make sure that you pick up mountains and throw it into the sea. Yeah, help me, there's one person on my job. And he's like, job? I'm trying to make sure that you run your business. Yeah, help me. I'm not able to, for the children that are listening, help me. I'm not able to beat this one level. Like, beat the level. I'm trying to help you to make video games to where you can get whatever your heart's desire is. Help me. I had an argument last night. I'm trying to help you to make sure that you can argue or debate the kingdom righteously so that nobody can come against you and you would have so much knowledge in you that you'll never be lied to again. Or if somebody lies to you, you'll be able to call it out. Even if it be Pastor Kofi. Prayerfully, it never will be. But even if it be me. Right? You thinking too small. I say this all the time. When I go back home, we got to come to a close. But when I go back home, I be telling persons, when I go back home, right, there'll be some of those same guys who are the same street corner, doing the same thing they was doing for the last 20, 30 years. Right? And they look fresh on the street corner. They look amazing on the street corner. Right? They look amazing on the street corner. I'm telling you, they got the freshest kicks. They always got the nicest jerseys, right? They always got whatever the newest style is going. They always got the fresh haircut and everything. But if you try to say, hey, let's leave the corner and do anything else, they can't do it. They can't function. If you say, let's go to the restaurant, as great as they look, they really don't have the money for the restaurant. I'm talking about they don't have scuffs on their sneakers, even on the bottom of their sneakers. I don't know how they do it. They don't even have scuffs on the bottom of their shoes. But you say, let's take care of our families. They can't do it. It's true. It's funny, but it's true. Right? Y'all know I ain't lying. Some of you go back to the same places and I'm not trying to say this is a great thing, but y'all remember Cat Williams used to had that joke? You've been selling, you've been selling that green stuff your whole life. It's 15 years later. At some point, you would have thought you would have graduated to something else. You still doing the same thing? Talking about you wanting to come up. If you had 15 haters and you still mad 10 years later that you got 15 haters, if you in the truth, the way, and the life, following after Yahshua, do you not realize that you're going to go from 15 to 15,000 at some point? You got in this and you thought your haters were going to go down. Don't you know that the higher you go in something, the more haters come with you? See, can I help you with something? I've learned this in my little role. This is a word right here. This is a bar right here. I wish I could really go into this. I feel like maybe we should even talk about this on the podcast. I'll pray about it because I already got something prepared. But now this feels like we might have to go at least over this a little bit. Pray for me. But have you not? I've realized as a pastor and as a leader of people, of men and women, I've learned that not only will persons follow you because they believe you're following Christ, they will also follow you because they hate you and they can't wait for your comeuppance, at least in their mind. Yes, today is Shabbat. If you keep Saturday, is Shabbat, right? But that's so Shabbat Shalom to all. But we're cutting. No offense. I'm just saying we recognize that we way past that on here, right? So hear what I'm saying. Yes, no letter J. We already know that, right? Thank you so much. So I appreciate you. So that being said, right, when you get to a higher level, I'm here to tell you, persons don't come behind you just to follow you and to push you forward. Some persons come behind you to follow you to push you over. Yeah. Okay, Holy Spirit, we're going to have to talk about it today. Y'all pray for me. This was not the word that we're going to talk about in the podcast, at least so I thought. But that's where we're going, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today, right? But you got to recognize that when you start having more persons follow you, there's some persons that have a knife behind your back, and there's some persons that are actually behind your back, even if they don't tell you about it, defending you. You better be ready. There's somebody ready for your downfall, ready for your demise, ready to say that everything that you built is jacked up. So as you grow, be ready for it. But know that you'll be protected anyways because of who you serve. The centurion said, when I serve Caesar, whatever he speaks, I follow it onely, and that allows me to have authority. I'm of authority because I'm under authority. He says if that's the way that it works in that kingdom, then if you have a kingdom, it works the same. Whatever you speak, speak it onely. Whatever you say, I'm one with it, and everybody else is one with it. And when he left, he didn't just leave. He didn't just say, leave with the healing. He said, leave and with everything as you believed. Because everything you said is in line with me. So everything you believe and everything you believe in me, thus saith Yechashvan, if you leave with everything you believed. When you leave here today, we got to get ready for the podcast. Thank you all for being on all the platforms. I appreciate you. If you want to come for the shout out, you got to come over to join us on TikTok, right? And I will do my best after the men's meeting. So later on this evening, I will try my best to post. So you'll have to catch it probably like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. New York time, tonight, right? And then I'll start posting it in other places as well. But we'll try to post the schedule for next year. Again, we just get posted in certain places. We'll try to post it again for next year so everybody can be ready for the holy days. Hear what I'm saying, beloved? I'm going to say it one more time, right? Whatever you believe, you came to the Messiah. You came to the Most High. How you doing, Jason? Thanks for being part of the community. You came to him. Don't come to him with this limited faith being like, oh, well, I just hope you do this little thing. Now unto him who's able to do exceeding abundantly above all that you could ever ask or even think of, according to the power of the one that already lives on the inside of you. You are of authority, right? Just because you're in something doesn't mean that you've lost authority. You are of authority no matter where you are in. You're an ambassador. Wherever your feet tread belongs to the Most High. That's why it belongs under your guidance. Be it unto you to be obedient to the word or not. That being said, we're going to get ready for the podcast. Those who are on certain platforms, you can look in the description with the video to find out more information. If you want to join us for the shout out, join us on TikTok. We'll go over that together. We'll do the shout out together. Those of you who know how the shout out works, do your thing. And we appreciate you. And we will talk to you guys soon. Once again, we give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor then for my wife, the Honorable Maya. Thanks for being on, my Dukes. I see you as well, my Dukes, my leader. We give our honor and praise to the ministerial staff, moderators, SOC, Lottie-Dot, and everybody. Your first time, first of many, only time, whatever the case is, be onely with the word and continue to grow. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being the voice of the voices, speaking the unspoken. Shabbat Shalom. And until I have the next great pleasure of being in front of you again, which if you want to join us on the live session, will be tomorrow at 8 a.m. New York time, same places that we're on now. Until I have the great pleasure of seeing you again, though, whenever that might be, remember, as always, beloved, that you are loved, you're necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shabbat Shalom. Take care. Thank you so much again. Brothers, don't forget, men's meeting tonight. And to everybody, You guys have a great day. We appreciate you. And we look forward to hopefully hearing from you guys and seeing you guys on the podcast. If not, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Yam Yasala for all the November born days, belated born days, all that great stuff. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Peace. So.